Latter-day Trumpet. This is a Latter-day Trumpet presentation that is an exciting new video about the Book of Mormon. Disclaimer. There are many church scholars that believe that the Lehigh colony landed in South America. This series of videos reflect those ideas and theories, and should not be considered as official church doctrine. The City of Nephi, Part 1. The City of Nephi, navel of the world or center of the universe, which is Cusco, Peru. The city of Cusco, Peru today is a modern city that has essentially stayed the same for centuries in the top of the Andean Mountains, with a population of about 400,000 people. It is a vibrant metropolis that is the capital of the local province, but its part in history cannot be understated. In actuality, according to archaeologists, the city of Cusco was first inhabited by the Chavan culture from 600 BC to 200 BC. The Chavan people were very tall, and a race that was big in stature and said to be of bearded men with white skin. This is an artist's rendition of the first Inca king looking out upon his city, the mighty city of royalty. Cusco was built in the form of a mountain lion, the mighty puma. The people of Nephi traveled to the city of Nephi in about 580 to 585 BC and inhabited the city for approximately 400 years. Nephi was accompanied to the city with his brothers and their sister wives, which coincided with the legend of Manco Capac and his brothers and their sister wives. This is a picture of the great South American mountain lion that was revered by the native people as the great king of the forest and the land of the Incas. The city was laid out in ancient times and built in the form of this puma. Here is an artist's view of the capital of the Incas, the Puma. A map of the modern city of Cusco appears here with its streets and avenues and looks a lot like other modern cities. So this video will present evidence and characteristics that make it unique and set it apart as the ancient capital city of the Incas and also the Nephites. This is a picture of the capital city of Cusco in the valley taken from the fort or place of refuge on the north side of the city called Saskatchewan. This resort was built to protect the city from its enemies. Here is a picture of the prophet King Nephi in front of the fortress of Saskatchewan. He had to defend his people many times in battle against the Lamanites. Unfortunately, with the limited manpower and resources available to him, Nephi probably did not build this fortress, but may have been the designer as the prophet in the land. This diagram may have been what the early city looked like when the people first arrived in the valley, with the three small rivers flowing through the city and merging at the lower southern end or tail of the Puma. Manco Capac, or Nephi, and his wife Mama Capac taught their people to be industrious and work with their hands. The Incas were world famous for centuries for their woven textiles, for example. Nephi taught his people to build buildings, with the ultimate enterprise, the building of a temple to God. This temple, according to the Book of Mormon, was built after the manner of the Temple of Solomon, except that it did not have as many precious ornaments. This temple, the Temple of Coricancha, was built to be the center or navel of the Puma. Today it is still revered by the native people to be the most sacred temple in all of South America. The history of Cusco, legend has it that it was first founded by Manco Capac in approximately 600 BC. That is when the Chavan culture came to Cusco. They were a large white bearded race that occupied Cusco from 600 BC to 200 BC. The next occupants were the Mohican culture from 200 BC to 800 AD. The Tiahuaco dynasty existed from 800 AD to 1100 AD. Finally, the Inca culture controlled Cusco from 1100 AD to November 15th, 1533. The native Peruvian races are a small, dark-skinned, mostly agrarian people. Cusco was part of a Spanish colony from Francisco Pizarro's conquest in 1533 to the liberation from Spain in 1820. Simon Bolivar and Jose San Martin liberated Peru in 1820, which is not by accident also the date of the restoration of the gospel and the first vision to Joseph Smith. Peru today is now its own sovereign country. To compare side by side the Book of Mormon and the prophet King Nephi, we present the history of the city of Nephi. It also was founded in approximately 590 to 580 BC by Nephi and his brothers and their sister wives. They built a beautiful city and a temple to God and lived there until King Mosiah I moved the people to Zarahemla in 205 to 200 BC, or about 390 years. For a while, the city of Nephi was vacant or occupied by the Lamanites. Then King Zenith returned to the city of Nephi in approximately 200 BC. The Nephites again occupied the city and lived there until 121 BC. The city and walls were rebuilt. Many new buildings were built during this time. From 121 BC, it became the capital city of the Lamanites until the coming of Jesus Christ. Ammon's brother, Aaron, taught King Laman, and all his household were converted, and many of the Lamanites in the city of Nephi from 90 to 77 BC. The city of Nephi was not mentioned again after the coming of Christ to South America in the Book of Mormon. The city of Nephi does not appear on the list of cities that were destroyed by the great upheavals, so presumably it survived the destruction at the time of Christ. There is a colossal set of ruins called Saskawaman just north of the city of Cusco, which is a fort or resort that was used for protection for the city inhabitants in times of invasion and war, or 3 sets or tiers of mammoth boulders put together without mortar, but finished so finely that a knife blade cannot be inserted between the huge rocks in this famous stone work. Each tier is 1,600 feet long and 18 feet high. The stones can weigh as much as 400 tons each. Today, scientists have no idea how this 3-tiered fort was constructed. The concourses were built in a zigzag pattern for maximum defensive purposes to catch the enemy in crossfire situations. On top of the fortress of Saskawaman are the remaining foundations of the 3 tall towers at the fort, and another tower was at the Temple of Coricancha. These towers were still in use when the Spanish conquistadors arrived. They were said to be taller than any towers in Spain. They were a great advantage to see the approach of enemies for miles in any direction.